I think that if I were your escort, the chances of you meeting an eligible man would be increased because you have me. Somehow or other, I didn't see his logic, given the fact that he wears diapers. So,
hi everyone, welcome back to Silver and Sensational. I'm your co-host, Jessica Lynn Verdi. I'm also the producer of this show. And with me, as always, is your host of Silver and Sensational, Lois Mills.
oh, hello everyone. You know I love to say it is I, Lois Mills, looking forward to spending some time with you today. So,
Lois, I have a feeling you're similar to me in this way. Are you like a local famous person? Like, you might not have been on TV. You might not have had, a household name or be a Carnegie. But do you have like a knack where everyone knows Lois Mills wherever you happen to go?
if they don't know me, they know of me.
Right. I used to call myself the Queen of the Valley because I couldn't go anywhere without going, "How's your dad?" or whatever. There's something about us loud Italians that really make an impression, I think. Speaking of people knowing you, today is kind of all about that. Not everyone has Lois's gift of being out there. And even before Lois knew how to be vibrant and present, it took her some time to get up some gall to make some friends. So today we thought would be all about simple ways that you can change and improve your social life through the lens of how Lois Mills has gone and done that. How does that sound, Lois?
Well, I hope it helps. I can assure you that I was not always outgoing, to say the least.
And I think that's the misnomer for people like us, is that, well, you've always been socially outgoing.
Absolutely
People
not.
have always liked you. My social anxiety was probably more than anybody else's, which made it so that I had to overcome it and got so much better at it.
Oh, yeah.
So we're looking at you on the other side of outgoing Lois and the problems and the benefits that might incur. And as we've told you all this season, we're taking questions from you. And Lois, we have the perfect question for today.
Go ahead.
That was submitted to us via email. Again, if you have a question, you can email us at silverandsensational@gmail.com. And this one is from Ruth G. And they say, "Hello, Lo. Congratulations on season 2. I loved listening to you and Tom last season. I always found myself wanting to hear more of your stories, and now I'm excited that I get to."
Thank you.
I know, isn't that sweet? "I have a moderate amount of friends, and I consider myself to be outgoing." Okay. "I just moved into a new neighborhood, so I was looking forward to integrating into this new community. However, I didn't expect to find myself making a new friend so quickly in my downstairs neighbor. We're both self-ascribed as cat ladies and had plenty to talk about when we first met. My issue is, I think they'd like to be better friends with me than I have the capacity to be. When they see me coming home, they come out to say hi, or they ask me to come over and spend some time with them. And it's not that I don't like them, but I'm sorry to say that I don't want to be that close with them. Thank goodness we have 2 entrances to our apartments, so by taking the front entrance, I'm able to avoid detection at times. Oh my goodness, but I feel badly for trying to dodge her. Am I in the wrong here for rejecting a perfectly fine person? How do I let her know that I don't mind being acquaintances, but I really don't want to chat as much as she does? Sincerely, freaked out friend."
Well, Ruth, I'm going to guess that that's a pretty common issue that people find, especially if you live in a building that is several generations. Generally speaking, retired people have more time and on their hands, and sometimes they forget, what if they did work, what it was like working and coming home and just needing quiet time because you've worked all day and you've been around people all day and now you need your own time. So, absolutely not in the wrong. You are not in the wrong, Ruth. I can only suggest that you always have something you need to run onto. And either you need to get upstairs because you forgot to take something out of the freezer and you won't have anything to eat, or, something. I mean, of course, you'll continue to be cordial, but be certain, being that you're an outgoing person, things come so naturally to you. So do be certain you don't send any mixed messages.
Right.
Like with training a puppy, you need to be consistent. And
Wow.
eventually, all you want for them to know is that you don't have the kind of time that they do. And I think before you actually come to say that, you might show it in action. So start with the actions. If that doesn't work, then in a very kind fashion, just say, I'd love to chat longer, but I really, I've worked all day and I'm dog tired and I just don't have any more conversation in me. Something like that. If I don't know that that's so kind, but that's probably what I would say. So I hope
But
that
I think
answers
that's
your question.
Boundaries.
Jessica, that is boundaries. And maybe Ruth has issues with that. I don't know. I'm not trying to psychoanalyze somebody. First of all, I'm not qualified. And secondly, it's a letter. What am I going to say? But
Right.
I hope that answers the question.
I think that I love that, being really clear about what your needs are, even if it's not explicitly saying, leave me alone, I don't have the time. But chances are you do have something to go do when you get home, and that being stopped right when you get home. I wonder too if you don't tell that person, I have such and such time every day, every week that I would be happy to give you. Being clear, like, I got 15 minutes and we can sit down and have some coffee and then I got to go back to work. But I think that's wonderful advice for Ruth. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Ruth, for reaching out to us. We are going to give everyone now, from Lo's mouth, the ways to make friends, but also the red flags that come along with that. You ready, Lois?
I am. And before I give you, well, do this or do that or go here and go there, I have to say, first and foremost, you have to want to make new friends and you have to be open to making new friends. You can't go in with the attitude, I have to do this. It's, you want to do it. You want to expand your social life. You want to expand your horizons. So you also need to keep in mind that you're the new kid on the block. So your hand's got to go out first. The first hello or good morning has to come from you. It's great if somebody else says it first, but if you wait for someone else to do that, you may be waiting a long time. And it's not that they don't want to. Maybe they're shyer than you are, or more not, or more ill-adept at making new friends than you are. So those are a couple of things. The other thing is to watch your body language. If you walk around or you're sitting at the coffee shop with your arms folded, as an example, that's a signal to leave you alone. So, a couple of things, when you're out, have a smile on your face. I mean, you don't have to have a silly grin, but smile. Smile at someone that's walking by. I did a little test many years ago. Living in Chicago, I was walking down Michigan Avenue and I thought, let me see if how many people I smile at and how many people smiled back. Well, I have to tell you, 7 out of 10 people smiled back. 5 out of the 7, even said hello or hi.
Wow.
So you will find that if you're open and you smile, very few people. And you know what? If they don't smile back, they don't say hello. What have you lost? What do you care? But it gets your mindset going into being more open. So start with perfect. If you're really shy, start with perfect strangers, people you're not expecting to make friends with. And I can tell you that for myself, some 30 some 40 years ago, I was so shy, and I know it's hard for you guys, to anyone who knows me, to believe this, but I was so shy I would cross the street rather than say hello to somebody I knew. So I was extremely introverted and pretty much completely, I won't say socially inept, but not very knowledgeable as to how to make friends. So that's the body language, the facial expressions, and the mental attitude to have to make new friends. So one of the first places, if you are so inclined, is to join a church. Most churches have different programs, and some of them, depending on where you're living, but some of them have groups for silvers, but there's something for everyone in a given church. If that always seems to be a good place to start, and I would start with that.
You're right that it seems like a church has the most to gain from keeping activities happening. And again, this is Silver and Sensational, and we're getting all this vibe from you and your, experience. But this is also advice someone like myself could take. And, the only thing I'm thinking is, okay, well, I'm not very religious anymore, although I know that there are some Christians or Catholics I could relate to that aren't too, devout. But also there's other churches that aren't as much bent on the religion, like a Unitarian church you could find that is probably also going to offer some community options.
Yes, even though, I wasn't a practicing Catholic. At one time I didn't join it, but I did go to a couple of Unity Church services, I guess you'd say, because they were known to have a wonderful community of supporters. And I was, coming from a religion that had not that much of a focus at that time. This was very impressive to me, but I never stayed with it because, again, the atmosphere wasn't right for me. But it's certainly a place, to look, whether or not it's a church that doesn't have any real, they believe in God.
Entity.
Yeah, there's really no, Bible thumping or whatever, if that's not what you're into. Well, and then, of course, another thing that has a couple benefits is to join a gym.
I love that.
Yes, but it's not just joining the gym. It's important that you are consistent in going to the gym on certain days and at certain times, because you will find that people tend to have a workout schedule, and you will then be able to be seeing people, the same people, over and over. So it does lend an opportunity to say, do you want to grab a smoothie later or whatever it is. Now, it'd be hard for me to talk about going to the gym because I was a gym rat. And I did do some serious weight training. And so I did meet couple that, were very serious. She had competed. They actually
Oh, wow.
owned their own gym in Florida, even though, we lived in New York, in Chicago. And so, we would grab a bite to eat after the workout. And so they said, we're going down to our Florida place. We'd love to have you come. All you need to do is, pack a bag. We have our own plane. And well, Lois was not about
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I was not about to turn down going on a private plane. So,
No.
I eagerly accepted,
Wow.
and they had this beautiful house and the beautiful guest room and bath, and everything was set up beautifully. And we got there in time to go out to dinner and meet. I was meeting their friends, and there was this table of people, most of them maybe just a few years older than me, but basically in the same age range. And it was a very unusual feeling I had that night. I was sitting at the end, and people just kept staring at me, and I thought, well, I'm sitting at the end. Are they going to stick me with the check? I mean, what? Why do they keep looking over at me? And I thought, this is really very strange, and I don't know. There was something not right about this.
Sure.
And, my intuition kicked in, blah, blah, blah. We left. We got home. Barry went to bed. And Mary and I sat in the living room. And I remember I was on the sofa. She was on the floor. And I said,
What?
Your friends are really very lovely, but why were they? They just kept looking over and sort of looking. They were like looking me over. It was very
Like scrutinizing you.
very much so, to the point where I thought, did a zit just pop out? I mean, I wasn't dressed.
Also, you are stunning at this point, though, too. Nothing's more attractive than someone who's in wonderful shape. But so, there's something that could be that, but it sounds like it's overwhelmingly something else.
It was overwhelmingly something else, and she looked,
Yes.
and she had like this Cheshire grin on her face, and she said to me, well, you see, generally when we bring a single woman, it's because I've handpicked them for my husband for our threesome.
Shut the fuck up right now. So hold on. So not only is that probably why they brought you, the entire friend group knew this too?
Well, apparently, these two made no secret of their sex life. And for all I know, that whole group could be doing it. And I sat there and I thought, oh my God, I am hostage in their home. And I looked at her and I said, well, I am not willing to pay that price for a private flight. I just, I don't know what to say, but I am not your gal. Not at all.
Right.
And I don't know why you would have even thought that. And she said, oh, because Barry likes your style. I said, well, that's just great. But I said, I'm now very uncomfortable and I have to leave. And she said, well, you don't really. And I said, yeah. I said, I'll tell you what, it's too late for any planes out of here. So let me go to my room. And I said, and I don't expect to be disturbed. I kept thinking, God, I hope there's a goddamn lock on that door, or I'm going to be sleeping in the bathtub with the
my
bathroom
God.
lock on. But, and I said, I'll just take a flight home, and it's not an issue. She said, but you really don't have to do that. I said, I thank you, but for me, I do need to do that. And so I got the first flight out of there and arranged for a car to pick me up before the house was awake, and I was out of there before they even got up. So I'm not saying, but I have to tell you, the interesting thing is when I told a few people about it. Do you know that a couple of the gals said they had the same experience? That they, that a couple of couples wanted them to be part of their, menage a trois. And so, I thought this was just, anyway, apparently it happened to other people I know. And listen, I'm living in Chicago in the middle of the Midwest. It's not as though I'm, in some, anyway.
Hippy dippy town.
Well, at any rate, I believe me, I'm not saying this is going to happen to you. I just think that sometimes not all people you think are going to be friends have the same motive you do. But let's go on to something.
Hold on. You did say you suggest having the same schedule. You met these people. That's when you want to switch up your schedule.
Oh, I did.
But is there a cautionary tale here? Is there
no?
Because first of all, the unsaid part of this all is they should have been upfront. They did hold you hostage. You'll have more success the more earnest you are with people in this endeavor. And they screwed you over, honestly, without, because I'm sure she was anticipating, this is me extrapolating, but just by staying, you might warm up to the idea or something. And so you were so right to have, for fear of embarrassing yourself for them, to leave. But was there anything that could have keyed you off to this in the first place? Or...
I've thought a lot about that, and actually, no. There was never.
Wow.
There was never. Nobody ever asked me about my sexual life. That conversation never even arose. But anyway, it's just, it's not a caveat. I'm not saying that you'll go to the gym.
No, it's just your experience.
I'm just saying it's one of my experiences. So.
Which is what we're here for.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Now, another way to meet people, and again, it really satisfies more than just your motive, and that is to volunteer in some area that if you like animals, there's animal shelters. If you're interested in children, there's children's hospitals. There's all kinds of people or organizations looking for volunteers. If you're so inclined, you can go into a docent program at one of the museums. If you're in an area that has a few museums, and again, this is a way to still feel connected to the universe and to have interaction with people and get to know somebody. And again, friendships are formed. I've formed a few friendships along the way during the years that I was doing a lot of not-for-profit work. And so that's one.
Right.
Another way is to take up a new hobby. And I've made really, really good friends for some 15 years. I just actually stopped going to the studio, but I worked I'm a goldsmith, and so we had this incredible class of people that were so warm and caring, and with a great, great teacher. And so it was a great way for me, and the men and women that I met there have been and still are really wonderful, wonderful friends. Now, when I moved to Palm Beach, and again, I have to say that I moved from Chicago to Palm Beach, Florida. I moved from Palm Beach, Florida to Los Angeles, California. And actually, I didn't know anybody. So I'm talking from firsthand experience. And so
Right.
one of the, I had become friendly with the lady in Palm Beach who sold me my house. And being generous of spirit, she wanted to introduce me to people. And I said I had an interest in learning bridge. And she said, oh, Anne has a friend, blah, blah, blah. And so I reached out to this person, an older man who taught on cruise ships. And he said, I really, and most bridge teachers do not want to teach bridge to a beginner. And I assured him I was a quick study and, let's meet once and he could form his opinion. There'd be no hard feelings if he didn't want to continue. So I gave him my address. He came to the house and he was a lot older than what I was expecting. And he had two little shopping totes. And he's, I had all of 2 steps to get up to my front door. And he, was sort of doing one of these with the bags.
Ambled.
Thank you. Ambled up the steps and said, "Dear, would you take this bag?"
The bags.
Well, just the one bag. And he kept the other bag and he said,
Okay.
can you tell me where your powder room is? So I showed him to the powder room. And it was obvious in this bag were the cards and whatever. So I took it out. And about 5-7 minutes later, he comes out. And I was in the dining room. He came and he said, "Oh dear, you have very lovely chairs. Do you have a tea towel?" And I said, "Yes." And I thought, isn't he wonderful? Worrying that he may have something on his trousers that will. So isn't that nice? So I went and got a tea towel and I put it down. And he said, "Well, often the diapers don't keep me dry."
Oh no, those. Oh no. And first of all, if that's the case, bring your own goddamn tea towel.
Well,
don't use my tea towel.
Anyway, we got
Jesus.
we got through the lesson, and I'll make the.
Hold on. What's going through your mind at this moment?
It's like,
when he says
what's
that.
going
And granted,
I'm thinking, what the fuck have you gotten into now? And
because here's the thing, we're not saying that people have these problems. Incontinence is a thing, and we're not shaming that. But usually, people have found a way to not make it other people's problem. Essentially, and he just
that's only the beginning. So he said, "Oh, you're very bright, and I would love to teach you. Next time you come to my place." And I said, "Okay." And I gave him the money for it. And he said, "Oh, no, not yet." So the following week, I went to his apartment and we had another lesson. And I again tried to pay him. And he said, "Oh, no. He said, I know you're a single lady and I know you have a very exciting social life." Well, by this time I actually did, was out a lot. And Palm Beach is a very social town. So he said, "And I think that if I were your escort, the chances of you meeting an eligible man would be increased because you have me." Somehow or other, I didn't see his logic, given the fact that he wears diapers. So,
Lois, I think you're being really short-sighted here.
So I probably was, but at any rate, he said, I said, you know what? And being, I'm thinking I'm going to be very sensitive. I don't want to hurt this man's feelings.
Sure.
Clearly anyway, I don't want to hurt his feelings. I said, let me give that some thought. And
Sure.
when I call you to schedule the next lesson, we'll talk about it. So, I waited a couple days. I thought, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I called him and I said, I feel it's only fair that before we schedule another lesson that I tell you that, see, I'm far more comfortable just paying you for the lessons rather than, having you
This exchange
as
program.
as an escort. And he said, well, if that's the way you feel, the hell with you. And he slams the phone down. Okay. I'm worried about being sensitive. And he pretty much tells me to go to hell. So,
Wow.
there you are. Another one of my tut stories. But getting back to what else you can do is, there's a lot of meetup groups across the country, or you can start your own meetup group. If you can do whatever you like. If you like to walk, you can do that. I heard about a group in Palm Springs. The first year, this gal I know was part of 15 women who met in the morning for coffee. And
Whoa.
that group, and walked, and that group grew to 3,000 people. Now, they didn't all meet at the same place, but
I can't imagine.
they had the same idea in different parts of the desert. So you can do your own. I recently met a great group of people by going, and it was actually during COVID when everything was closed, and just a group of people would be sitting outside Pete's Coffee, and I would be walking and smiling, saying hello. And one day, someone said to me, I think I know your neighbor, blah, blah. From there, it developed into going at the same time in the morning. And sometimes there's 5 people, sometimes there's 15 people. But from that group, I have come away with a handful of very, very good friends. Again, the key to this is being consistent in the days of the week and the time of day. People tend to have a schedule, even people who are officially, retired. Either they walk the dog, or they get up at a certain time, or they they go for their walk down the street. So I've given, I think, about 5 ways to easily meet people. And Jessica, this is not reserved for just silver, as you said.
No, it's not.
So anybody out there who wants to meet new people and bring new people in their life, these are the ways I have done it. Some with caveats, all with caveats, really, but I had to share the most outrageous of them. But for the most part, I really, have been very fortunate in finding people who have the same values as I do. And I think that's really all you need to look for in friendships, is someone who has the same values. It doesn't matter the race, religion, sexual orientation, none of it. Just the same values. So there you have it.
I love that.
What do you think, Jessica? How about...
So I wanted to give you what I took away from that really quickly. I think what's important to remember is it doesn't have to go quickly. It's consistent. So if you make that first smile to somebody, it could take another week for you guys to be at the same workout station at the same time. But then you've already created the mere exposure effect, which is you've let that person become comfortable just by seeing you. And so you don't have to immediately ask that person, now let's go hang out, but you can let the relationship develop and let it see if there's something from that point on. Another thing I love, especially about like being a docent with having, or a nonprofit, even if you're not, let's say, quote unquote, making friends, the outgoing personal touch is also going to give you that endorphin and socializing experience, which is what we're really craving, because we're social creatures. And the reason why learning how to socialize and why it's such a difficult problem for all of us is we do need it to survive, us introverts and extroverts. So just by being involved in the community, whether you're walking home with a friend or not, you still manage to have one-on-one or one-on group connection.
Absolutely.
And then the other takeaway from the beginning with Ruth all the way down through the end is boundaries. I love it. You have to know when enough is enough. And one of my favorite things is to be diplomatic and say, let me think about that. That is so much better than saying, hell no. And yet you always stood up for yourself. And I'm sure there's times where, we wished we stood up for ourselves sooner.
Yes.
But,
yes.
And that's another story for another time.
Exactly.
But what I learned from you today is not knowing where your boundary is and speaking it. And if you lose that friend, they weren't your friend.
Such an astute saying, and such a sage. I think we'll just call you the sage. Thank you.
The sensational sage.
The sensational sage.
I
Oh,
love
Jessica,
this.
thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, our listeners, for being here every week as we get wonderful stories and advice from Lois Mills, our sensational silver. If you have questions, we want them. Our whole season's going to be about what you're looking for to make your life better and to have better boundaries sometimes, maybe. And you're going to just email us over at silverandsensational@gmail.com. We're also on Instagram and Facebook at Silver and Sensational. So there's multiple ways to get involved and enjoy our show. If you're watching on YouTube, what should they do, Lois?
Oh, firstly, subscribe,
Yes.
like, hit the little bell so you're notified when our next YouTube pops up, and comment, please, comment. You can say whatever you wish or ask a question there. We read everything.
Absolutely.
So please do that. We would love to have you as our subscriber. And I just want to...
Share it with a friend.
Of course. Thank you.
Yeah.
In fact, share it with a few friends.
That's right.
Share it with the new friends you're
Oh, my
making.
goodness.
Yes. That's it. Get
Full circle.
exactly right. So, Jessica, thank you. Thank you for watching and listening out there. And see you soon.
Take care, Lois.
You too, dear. Bye.